Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our first SYS Financial LinkedIn Live on the SYS Financial LinkedIn page. I'm delighted today to have Ger Conalty with us today. He is going to help us with some useful tips all around what's happening in the health insurance space right now. Ger, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me on today. My name is Ger Conalty, and I'm the head of the Health Insurance Advisory Services SYS Financial. So helping both corporates and individuals navigate the intrinsic complications that arise with private health insurance here in Ireland.
And I know there's been a lot of changes lately. So we're going to inform everybody who's watching. And if anyone has a question, please do put it in the comments and I might feature it on the screen and we will answer your questions for sure live on air right now. So these prices increases, tell us about those first.
Yeah, so from the 1st of March and the 1st of April and the 3rd of April as well, we have some price increases across the market. They include VHI, Irish Life Health and Leia Healthcare. Part of these increases are varying from 3% to 5.9%, with different plans being incorporated in those price increases. One of the drivers behind this as well is that the government levy is actually increasing by €48 per adult from 469 to 517. So what we're seeing here in April is actually an introduction of the government levy increase in the premiums alongside standard, price increases that we would see at this time of the year. So now more than ever, people are going to see massive changes in terms of their pricing from April onwards. But that's not all to say it's all negative. I suppose what we would look at is in the last 2 years, prices have on average increased from, anywhere between 15 to 30% in a 2-year period. But what we're seeing now is the new plans being introduced where these can be massively reduced. So even though we're seeing these price increases coming in and it does look quite stark from the outside, when we actually sit down and review policies, either on a corporate basis for companies, for their employees or on individuals, we can look at alternative options where we can actually bring those price increases down quite dramatically. So it's all about just looking at where you currently sit in terms of your own plan and setup and what alternative options available. For example, we are seeing in some cases that in the last 2-year period, as mentioned, we've seen increases of near high 30%, but in some cases we can actually reduce that down by about 22%. So we can really offset that increase for the next renewal cycle. So it's becoming more of an important exercise for people to really sit down, take the time, review what they have, and let's see where the changes can be made. But fundamentally is that there's options there that can actually still maintain the level of cover or actually increase what you have without increasing the premium or decreasing it in some cases.
I suppose it's not something that people think about all the time that, to have a look at, but it is important for them to stop and say, well, maybe we need to have a look at this. Do you come across a lot of challenges when it comes to that, encouraging people to check it out?
Exactly. I suppose health insurance is a complex product. And when you're dealing with also your own personal health and well-being, you're asking people to kind of look at, what their own circumstances are. But what a lot of people are afraid to do is make a change. Some people might have a very positive experience with one provider and they don't want to upset that. They've seen the benefits of it and they don't want to rock the boat. And they feel like if they swap plan or insurer or make a change, that they're going to lose out somewhere along the line. Whereas we want to encourage them to say, listen, you can make a change within your policy, even within the same insurer, but just actually increase the benefits or maintain them, but at a lower option. Insurers are constantly repackaging plans year on year, which match or increase the benefits, but just have that lower price point. So you can still maintain the benefits you require and protect you and your family, but not be put into a position where it's becoming financially difficult to maintain health insurance as well.
And what about the government levy increases? You covered that, did you?
Yeah, so the government levy is increasing there, as I mentioned, is increasing from 469 to 517. So this has been increase, on premiums from the 1st of April. So that's where a lot of people are going to see, a bit of an increase across the board. But even though the levy is increasing, there is always an alternative option to look at. VHI are introducing new plans. Irish Life have new options. LEA the same. Level Healthcare are bringing out some new options as well. So it's a case of just let's sit down and look at what you have. And then when we're chatting to corporate companies as well, as if you're paying for your health insurance for your employees, these increases are actually multiplied by how many employees you have. But also another big concern that we'd want to make sure that employers are aware of is that the higher, levies, premiums mean that there's higher BIK costs for employees on a monthly basis. And if they're paying for family members, that's obviously going to be an issue as well. So what we do need to make sure is that, companies that are paying for their health insurance for employees need to be very aware of these price increases, because it can be a bigger impact to the company budget, but also to employees' expenditure on a monthly basis. And we need to be constantly aware of these changes.
So really, it's the decision maker, like the CEO, should be aware. If the CEO is watching right now, definitely something to look into and have a chat with Ger. The Employee Assistance Programme, tell me more about that.
Yeah, so EAP, or employee assistance programs, are very much a digital platform that has been added into health insurance policies and are quite a common practice in companies to bring in to help support employees around financial, emotional, kind of mental well-being, anything that's really going on inside work or outside work that might be affecting them. An EAP program is designed to give the support to employees. Health insurers, who have corporate offerings, will always offer these kind of as standard into the policies. And what we're starting to see is companies that are almost paying for two services side by side. They're not fully aware that their health insurance policy, or that they can build this into their health insurance offering, and they're still paying out of pocket for a third-party EAP program. So what we also want to do is encourage companies to look at what their structure is. Can they actually maybe make some changes where they can design the EAP to be, on their health insurance scheme, where it's actually a little bit more better interaction for employees? Because let's say if there's a mental health benefit or even a physical benefit that needs to be availed of that's not available through the EAP, you already have that intrinsic link on the health insurance policy that people can avail of a different benefit that would be beneficial to them. Whereas a third-party EAP program might not be able to give that same insight. But also financially, for a company, if you're able to make a saving on paying for a third-party EAP program, it might allow you to increase the expenditure elsewhere for your employee benefits. So it's all about making sure that the setup is correct, that you're not duplicating benefits and paying more than you need to, but also making sure that the expenditure, for a company budget is going into the right areas. It's not falling into areas that are being duplicated.
Gosh, yes, there's a lot in that, isn't there? It's like, you must be doing this a long time, are you?
Doing this health insurance exclusively for over 10 years now. So we're seeing the changes. Like, we kind of, I suppose, as we've been doing it for a long period, you start to see what companies like in terms of their benefits with regarding health insurance, but also some of the areas that they're more afraid to look at. A lot of companies are more than 2 years since they last did a review of their health insurance scheme, and that can be massively damaging to a company. So what we want to try and do is shine more of an expertise overlook of the market. It's a market that's not overly talked about. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and also it's a product that has to be reviewed yearly. Premiums change consistently, so what we want to try and do is listen, don't kind of fall asleep at the wheel and just hope that everything auto renews. That's a very negative practice to be doing. What we want people to do is to just be aware of what they have and what they can do, and make sure that it's operating at the full potential.
Great. I know one topic we were going to cover before we wrap up was benefit changes. So is there anything there you want to cover, or do you think we've covered it?
Yeah, I suppose with benefit changes, what we want to just kind of highlight is that there are changes coming into plans. Okay, with premium increases going the way they have, insurers are bringing in slight changes across plans, even existing plans or newer options. So it's something we want to kind of just make sure that people are aware of. If you're a CEO with a company of 200 employees under your health scheme, or just an individual. Insurers are increasing caps on their day-to-day benefits, so being able to claim back for all those expenditures that you use on a daily basis. They might be increasing the outpatient excesses, so paying a little bit more when you do go to use your policy. Some insurers are even increasing how much you pay in terms of orthopedic procedures. Some plans are going from 20% of a shortfall to 40% for orthopedic procedures. So this can be, quite concerning to some people who have a policy that orthopedic is really important to them. And then also, it's just making sure that you're not missing anything that might be removed as well. You might have a workforce that's very high day-to-day benefits dependent. So, if there's limits on that, that could be, a real negative conversation that you're having with your employees. So again, just kind of reviewing that on a yearly basis to make sure that if you do need to maybe increase the benefits, to ensure that you're maintaining, the benefits that the employees use, that you're not missing that opportunity.
That's really, you really know your stuff. Like, it's great, Ger. So if anyone wants to, and you just mentioned 1st of April, that's tomorrow. Oh my God, I can't believe it. That's tomorrow. So if anyone wants to have a chat with you, they can email you, ger@sysfinancial.ie. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I think it's just, everything is always about how you review it, as well as just being a little bit more open. What we want to just do is educate people about how the market works, and just ensuring people are knowing where to get the right information. Just taking that time to review it can save you massively in the long term.
Well, like the sound of that. That's great. Thank you so much, Ger. And if anyone wants to get in touch with Ger, you can connect with him on LinkedIn, or if you want to go to sysfinancial.ie or email ger@sysfinancial.ie. Thanks, Ger.